Hello and welcome to How Do I Homeschool? My name is Rebecca Devitt and today we're going to be talking about lots of different homeschooling myths. So myth number one is that homeschoolers aren't socialized. A lot of people think that how can you be socialized if you don't go to school and get your friends from your classroom, but there's actually many different ways that you can get friends from your community, from your family, from your church, from the homeschooling group, from if you had a job, that sort of thing. There's many ways that you can do that, and a lot of people would argue that homeschoolers are perhaps better socialized because they can talk to older people and they can talk to young people because they haven't just been put in that age group. So that is myth number one debunked. Myth number two is that homeschoolers are really smart, and I would add on to that, some people think homeschoolers are not very smart. So neither is true. They're pretty much of the general population, but I would say that the homeschooling method, just the increasing teacher-student ratio does lead to better academic results. And I've done a few articles about just comparing lots and lots of different studies, and homeschoolers pretty much in all of them were doing much better than children who went to school, particularly public school children. So that is myth number two debunked. Myth number three is that all homeschoolers are very poor, from Christian families, and they're maybe fundamentalists. That isn't true, especially in the Australian setting. In the Australian setting, a lot of them are from pretty eclectic families. A lot of them choose to unschool, and so they might be a little bit more new agey, I guess. So they're definitely not all Christians. In America, there's definitely more of a proportion of them, but then they come from all different backgrounds, and there's so many reasons that a parent would choose to homeschool. Just your child is being bullied, you want to take them out of that environment, they have special needs. So for all those reasons, they're coming from different backgrounds. So that's myth number three debunked. Homeschooling myth number four is that homeschoolers can't really function very well in the world. This actually really depends on if they're socialized. So I would say that this is generally a myth, but then if you keep any child home and you neglect them and you don't let them see anyone, they're not going to really know the social norms. So when they get out there, they're going to be a little bit confused. But having said that, I think in probably all but one or two of the families I've seen, this homeschooling families that I've seen, this hasn't been an issue at all. In fact, most parents, I read a study which surveyed something like 1,000 kids, and it was saying that most parents are taking their kids out 2 to 3 times a week to different social events. So they're getting to socialize in general with lots of different people, and this isn't an issue. So yeah. I can't remember what we're up to, so I'm just going to say another common homeschooling myth is that you can't get into college or university if you are homeschooled. Now, this may have been true in the past, maybe 20 or 30 years ago, but it has not been true for a number of years. I graduated my homeschool, I guess you'd call it, about 10 to 15 years ago, and it was actually really easy to get into college using a number of bridging steps. Basically, you could do that with a portfolio system, or you could just sit something like a national test like the SAT or the ACT, and then get in that way. So there's actually, these days, there's so many different ways to get into college. And another benefit of homeschooling is that you can, the Harding family had pretty much all of their kids going to college by age 12, so you can start college a lot earlier. I don't know if it's something that all homeschooling families would want to do, but you can start significantly earlier if your child is up to that and they want to do it. Another big myth is that you can't homeschool if you don't have a teaching or education degree. This is absolutely untrue. I remember reading a study, and it was comparing people with an education or teaching background who were homeschooling to people who had no education or teaching background, and the scores were basically exactly the same. In fact, the people who didn't have an education or teaching degree background did 1 percentile better which is a non-significant result, but it just goes to show you that it really does not matter that much. One thing that did show a slight difference was education level. So if you had somebody who was a high school dropout versus a group of people who perhaps had PhDs, you would find their homeschoolers did slightly better on standardized tests than the other children, but it wasn't a very, very big deal either. So you can definitely homeschool if you don't have a teaching degree. My parents are a great example of this. My dad, he finished high school, and I think he did a cook's diploma, but my mum, I'm not even sure if she finished high school, and she doesn't speak English amazingly, that sort of stuff. If you look at her children, my older brother, he's now doing his theology masters, I don't know, they call them studying divinities, and he's I guess he did an architecture and a master's course beyond that, and he did really well in it. My younger brother's a lawyer, and I did a medical science degree and then started doing a degree in medicine. And that's with our parents being not particularly educated. So it really doesn't matter. What matters is your parents really love you, and they put time into you, and they encourage you in those pursuits. And that is what is going to create successful children. I really hope you've learned something from this homeschooling myths video, and yeah, just let me know if you have any other questions surrounding it. I'd be happy to answer it in the comments section below. Please like and subscribe, and if you've absolutely loved this video, you can hit the bell button and it will let you know next time I put out a video. Thanks for listening.